from minibulldesign. Today I'm back out in the woodworking shop, goofing around with my velomobile. I come out every day and work on it for half an hour. Usually try to put on just a couple of pieces. Today I put these two side rails on to tie the front and the back. They're pretty important because when you put your feet down and pull, you put all the weight right on this cage. So this part of the cage has got to be pretty rugged to take all the force that I'm going to pull on to lever myself up. But the rest of it, you know, out here, all this stuff, and back here on the tail, there's no strain on it at all. All it's doing is just holding up the covering, keeping the wind off my legs. So I'm going to make that out of some really lightweight stuff. And if it's too flimsy, I'm going to go with a geodesic construction. And look it up. Now I've been out in the factory working this morning, so let's go out there and see what I've been up to. Now I've really been working hard to get the inventory back up, and I'm starting to get to the point where I've got some confidence now. So this morning, just do something different because I was just so tired of running lathe and milling machine. I decided to make a batch of Elites. Now, I struggled with whether to put the wick on them or not. I decided to do this batch the same as the last batch. I'm leaving the wick off, but I'm putting a piece of wick inside. You can install it yourself if you want to, or when you buy, just put a note in PayPal saying you want wick installed, and I'll do it for you if that's what you want. I also built a batch of carry cases. Get in here close. A batch of carry cases for the Elites, and those are in the store also. So, that having been said, first come, first served. I'm going to stand here for a couple of minutes and just talk about stoves. I sometimes forget that my audience are stovies. And I'll be yakking about velomobiles and biting. Hey, you guys don't usually tune in to listen about velomobiles. You want a dose of tinny and a dose of stoves. Okay, I can do that. Okay, this is a BIOS 5. Now, I've been touting what a great stove it is, but I left out a couple of things. One is, this doesn't work well with small pots. If you've got a Snow Peak 600 cup you're going to use, don't buy this stove. The flames will go right up by it, won't even touch the cup. Second thing, and I've had 2 emails so far about this, is if you fire this stove up, let it blossom, and you've got an aluminum pot, say a 12 centimeter Armusa, and you've got really cold water in it, and you set it on, the alcohol vapor inside of this stove will go up. And when it hits that cold pot, it will condense back to a liquid. And it will run off the edge of the pot on fire and drip down. I've had 2 people say that's happened to them. It's happened to me. I never really gave it much thought. So what I do is if I have really cold water, I put the pot about that far above the stove and let the flames hit it for 20-30 seconds just to take the chill off of the pot, and then I set it on there. Okay, microbios, still not good for small cups. Throws out almost as big a flame as the BIOS 5. So both of these work best with, 10 centimeter or larger cups. Snow Peak 600, not so much. Hang with it. Okay. This is a mini atomic. Comes in 2 versions, carbon felt and original. The original, the advantage of it is, you can, if you don't use all the alcohol, you can pour it through the jets and pour it back into the bottle. This one you can't because it's full of carbon felt, and the carbon felt captures the alcohol, and if you don't use it, you're not going to get it back. Now, I wanted to mention about the mini atomic. If you've got a Snow Peak 600 cup or even a 450 cup, this stove will work because it's a top burner and the flames go right up to a point about that big around. So if you've got a really small cup, or if you're a gram weenie, this mini atomic would be the ideal stove for small cup because it's the right heat and it's a center flame. It's not a side burner, so it comes right up to a point. And a lot of people use these with the Snow Peak 600. That's their primary stove and pot. Okay. Okay, here's an atomic. Also a good choice for small pots. But this stove holds a bunch of alcohol. It'll hold probably close to 3 ounces of alcohol. I'm not really sure, I've never measured it, but a lot. And it'll burn for a half an hour. And the heat on it is about the same as a mini atomic, medium heat. Probably boil water in, in a 12 centimeter Amusa cup. This will probably boil water in about 8 minutes. Way too hot for baking, forget that. But it's good for a long burn with a medium-sized pot. So say a 12 centimeter pot, maybe a little bit larger, cooking a fair amount of stuff that you need a lot of heat. But you can also use it just like a mini atomic, just don't fill it up. Okay, here's a Bongo Original. This is the ideal stove for me for baking or simmering. It doesn't put out a lot of heat. If you trim the wick, I say not a lot of heat, if you trim the wick right down, so it's only like 1/8 of an inch or even flush with the top, it's perfect for me for baking with a 12 centimeter pot and a 10 centimeter cut down pot. But if you pull it out, slide in a longer wick, it's just as hot as an M2SB. It's real hot. So it's a pretty versatile little stove. It's very tiny, and people are starting to now see the wisdom of this stove, and people are starting to ask for a bigger base, because this is very narrow and tippy, based on like an M80 or a M5 or M4 with this original Bongo top, so they can simmer but have a safety base and a lot more stability. Like I'd say an M80 with an original Bongo top is what somebody just ordered. And that'd be a great little stove for a general purpose. Carry 2 wicks. If you want to bake, put the small wick in. If you want to use it for your primary stove, just put a longer wick in it. It's just the same as an M2SB. I mean, any of the M2s. Works well for that. I know you're going here somewhere. Now, when it comes to the M100 and the M80, the M100 more so than the M80. I sell quite a few of those for as expensive as they are. I don't sell one every day or anything, but and I'm pretty convinced that the people that are using that stove are dyed-in-the-wool stovies who do a lot of deck packing. I really can't imagine anybody going out and doing, really heavy backpacking and wanting to goof around with a stove with that many parts in the evening. I just don't see it. And that goes for all these stoves that have legs and pot stand legs and nipple caps and fuel lines and all that. They don't lend themselves well to being tired after dark with a headlamp on trying to cook. It's just too much stuff to go wrong, losing parts, and it's just too complicated. And I'm pretty sure from what I've seen, the people that buy those actually use those out deck packing, where they've got plenty of light, plenty of time, because they're a real enjoyable stove to goof around with. I imagine probably people just enjoy the stoves right out on the deck, just for the fun of the stove. Forget the lightweight backpacking part of it, just to goof around with one of Tinny's stoves. So I think I beat my gums enough for today. I'm not sure what I'm going to do the rest of the day. I had to stop right in the middle of my velomobile project and go to Newport and get a tank of acetylene. My tank ran out and it was expensive. And then I came back and finished welding. We went to the dump earlier today, got a dump run in, found a whole bunch of ditches and cups and stuff. Sue was in there washing them all up, getting ready to take them up to the junk shop. Now the junk shop, we take the stuff in and give it to them. they tag it and sell it, and they use the money, they kind of rescue cats. They use the money to support their habit of rescuing and neutering and doctor bills for cats. And I'm definitely 100% a cat person, so I really get a kick out of that. And you'd be amazed how much money they've made off of the stuff that we take to them. Used doors, pots, pans, dishes, flatware, bread boxes, coolers, you name it. We picked the stuff up, cleaned it up, taken them up to them, and they get good money for that stuff. And it all goes to a good cause. Cats, man's best friend. I'm Tinny from minibulldesign. Get out and hike, take a friend, enjoy the great outdoors, and more important than anything, try to have some fun today, and try to have a really great day. Bye-bye.